Hey there, my name is Hydrogen Heather and thanks for joining us for today's experiment of the day. And let me tell you, we are all hoping that High Touch, High Tech CEO Dinosaur Dan is not watching today because the DFW team has gone off the rails, totally rogue. Last night, Atomic Amy locked herself in the laboratory and would not come out until she had perfected her freaky fungus Saccharomyces cerevisiae snack recipe, and we are going to share it with you today. Now, one thing that's going to be a little bit different than from the other experiments that we've done is that for time's sake, we are going to compress some of the steps. I'm still going to tell all of them to you, but we compressed a little bit to make sure that this video does not go too long. So what I have in front of me for Atomic Amy's freaky recipe are 3 cups. And right before we went on camera about 5 minutes ago, here is what we did with the cups, and I'm not going to let the students, my children, know which cup is which. In 1 cup, I put some sugar. In 1 cup, I put some salt. And in 1 cup, I put nothing. That is going to be our control. Then I put some freaky fungus. And I want you to think for a minute and even ask your children when you're setting this up, where are some different places that you find fungus? And of course, we've all opened up a bag full of bread and seen the green moldy stuff growing on it. You can look in your bathroom sometimes and see a little bit of mold. If you're an athlete, oh my goodness, you might even look between your toes and find some fungus. So when we think fungus, we think yuck. But actually, fungus is an interesting organism in that it eats basic sugars, but then it does something else. When fungus eats, it burps. So it turns out there is some nasty fungi out there, but then there's some really good ones. And the one that we're going to use today is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So remember, I put salt, sugar, and then an empty cup. And then right after that, I took some Saccharomyces cerevisiae, better known as dry active yeast, and I put a little bit into each cup. So you can actually just tear open a yeast packet and then divide it equally among the 3 cups. And then I took 3/4 cup full of very, very warm tap water. I got it as warm as I possibly could. And then I put a 1/4 cup of water into each cup. So here's the deal. The children, what you want them to try to figure out is which cup is it that the yeast are eating in? Because we know that they eat sugar, but then here's how we're going to figure out which cup is the sugar. It turns out that when fungus eats sugar, the very next thing it does is it burps out. It burps out a chemical called alcohol, which is OH, and it also turns out that as it's burping that, you can smell a sweet odor. So what I'm going to do very quickly is I'm going to let the children look at the 3 cups, and then I'm going to have each one of them reach over and quickly take a waft. I'm going to pass this right down, and then I want you to tell me which of the 3 cups you think that the, good job with your wafting, that the fungus are eating in. We've got to do this part fast. Are you going to waft that one, buddy? Okay, so now you've got the last one coming around. Which of these 3 cups, number 1, 2, or 3, do you think the fungus is actually eating in? Okay, they're correct. And now what you probably can't see on camera, I'll try to bring it up a little bit closer, is that you can also see a frothy kind of foam bubbling up, and they hit the nail on the head. Right now, the Saccharomyces cerevisiae is consuming the sugar in the cup, and it's burping out alcohol. It has a sweet smell. And now what we're going to do is Atomic Amy figured out that the perfect proportion is going to be approximately 2 cups of flour. And what we are making are actual pretzels. So, and normally I would have the students do this, but again, I want to time compress. So I'm going to dump the sugar and the salt cup first. Make sure your sugar goes in there. And then I'm going to hold off and not pour all of my water cup in, and here's why. For those of you who have a lot of experience baking dough in the kitchen, it is much, much, much better to be too dry than too wet. Okay, so I'm going to mix this up. and I can see that my dough can handle a little bit too much, a little bit more water. What you'll find is that if you get too much water, when we get to the next step, which is kneading, it just sticks all over the children's hands and they lose interest very, very quickly. So it turned out that Atomic Amy's proportions were right on, because this is making a perfect consistency dough. So now the next thing that we're going to do, and here again I'm going to time compress. We want to give each child a small ball of dough, and I'm going to tell you smaller is better, because for the next 5 minutes, and we're not going to do this for a full 5 minutes on camera, we need the children to get rough on that dough. We need to actually have them beat the dough and squish it and slam it. And what they're doing as they begin to knead and get rough on that dough is they are going to be releasing a chemical called gluten. And the more gluten that they release, the fluffier that their pretzel is going to be at the end. Okay, so you can see, and really, there's not much I can do about this here on camera, but I should have held back just a teeny bit on that last bit of water. But actually, the more that we work with the dough, the less sticky it'll be. All right, buddy, that's all you. Now, as you guys are kneading, truly, I need you to get rough on that dough, okay? Now, for the time compression, here's what's going to happen next. After they knead for 5 minutes, and after they release all that gluten into the dough for the fluffiness, then what we're going to have them do, and you guys keep on kneading, okay? We're time compressing, so I'm going to actually go on to the next step, which is going to be rolling these into a snake. And I'm going to say go at least 18 inches long. I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to eyeball it. And it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be neat. But the reason I say you want to go a little bit long is that will then give you the opportunity to just twist this into the shape of a pretzel. And all I did was wind one arm down, then I wound the other arm down. We're going to toss these in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes. And then what we like to do afterward is drizzle them with honey or drizzle them with mustard, just something fun. But the lesson behind it here is that fungus that we put in there, that freaky, funky fungus, is actually a living, breathing organism, and we kind of woke it up with the warm water, and then it's breathing, consuming, and then burping out the alcohol is what's going to poof up the bread, and once it's poofed up, we can put it in the oven, and we have Atomic Amy's freaky, funky fungus snack. All right, we'll see you right back here tomorrow.